J.W. Morrison, theologist, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia, looking at the USA presidential race, and Kamala Harris, the Fox, as being foxed by Fox.
I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
No, but let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations from the Sinaloa cartel.
That's irrelevant. This is completely irrelevant to what she's saying, because she's letting the same people that she's prosecuted illegally cross the border in hordes. These same people that apparently she prosecuted, she's allowing them to cross the border in hordes. This is the contradiction of the... This is happening. She's playing all this out in front of the world. I don't know how the woman's coping with it all.
To the Guadalajara cartel, to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally, and I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
She hasn't done that work as vice president. She's allowed them to cross the border in hordes. The contradictions, oh my gosh. The lies. Lies are evil. Just the lies. She's allowed these people, whether she's prosecuted them or not, to cross the border by the thousands. Thousands upon thousands.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law.
In other words, yes. In other words, yes, it's the law and I'll follow it. I won't oppose it. I won't change it. I won't fix it. I won't stop it. Look at the face. I'll let it continue. It's the law. Too bad, and that's it. She's not answering the question. She's being covert. She will allow it to continue.
And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed.
Well, it's not a law that Donald Trump actually followed. Donald Trump's in opposition to it. And again, she's trying to blame shift. She's trying to change the focus to somebody else. This woman is so crafty and so clever. She's a master of evil.
You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries.
You know what, you got to take responsible for what happened
presidency.
in your administration.
Yeah.
Yes, he is responsible for. Look at the smug. Look at. It's like nah. Trump was under that law. He never went along with it, and he didn't agree with it. And apparently, there were no surgeries in the prison system under his government. But she's saying, well, he was president, and it was all happening. Look, it's like a little child. Nah.
No surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's in
so
black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment surgeries?
I will follow the law, just as I think Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think it's real. He spent $20 million on those ads.
Now she's just gone completely off track. She's gone completely off track, and this is a classic example of what it's like to blame shift. This woman is impossible.
Ads trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people.
Okay, so if an inmate, right, and this is the context, a male inmate in a prison that's killed someone or whatever else they've done, shot 10 people or strangled their mother or whatever, if they put their hand up under law, I want to become a female and go to a female prison, she'll allow it all because it's part of the law. She is not saying that she will oppose it. This, can't you see?
Whereas, at $20 million on that ad.
Yeah, $20 million to let people know that he's going to prevent this from happening. She can't stand it because she wants it to happen.
An issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at...
Okay, is the what's happening on the border remote? No. Do you want your taxpayers' money going towards these transgender people, criminals as well, to get their sex changes, which is in opposition to the way God made us and what we're supposed to do? She's obviously not a Christian. Is she a Christian? Does anybody know? Because if she is, she's so far away from the principles of the thing, she's lost.
Where we are, though.
They say
on plans for the American people, I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing.
That's got nothing to do with what they're talking about. They're talking about the transgender issue, and she is going to go along with it because it's part of the law.
Offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker.
Why do you
would
think
ignite
more people
inflation
say,
and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the...
She's just lying, and she hasn't answered the question. She's, again, diverting the attention negatively and deceitfully onto Donald Trump, and she has not faced the question.
facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States.
And this was something I picked up, viewers. This was something I picked up. She says the word we, right? What we would do as president. So she's a puppet. She's a puppet. I'm going to play that again. What we would do as president.
Plans for our economy would strengthen our economy. His would make them weaker.
Why do you
would
think more
ignite
people
inflation
say,
and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States.
Who is we? Okay, see, she's just a puppet. At what we would do as President of the United States. You've got to catch these little things.
It has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump. People are ready to chart a new way forward.
No, they've had enough of you, Karmala, and your policies over the last three and a half years. She's trying to paint the picture that Donald Trump is the reason for all these problems, but it's herself. This is first-class blame shifting.
They want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of.
The problem with that answer was she is not obviously Joe Biden, but most of her policies have been photocopied, have been cut and pasted into her policies. So.
But also, I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So, you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump.
Okay, at this point, she's in very deep. She's had to take a drink of water. I don't blame her. This is the hardest interview that she's had to face, and she'll probably never ever do it again.
But nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes in to office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership.
And so will Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a much more economic and business type person. He doesn't muck around with these people of other nations and things. He knows how to bring money into the country, which he will. I can't see this woman doing anything that she said, because for the last 3.5 years, she hasn't done anything that she said she was going to do.
I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas.
Neither is Donald Trump.
Whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days.
When it comes to fostering a vibrant economy, there is no contest. Trump beats Biden and Harris in a landslide. When it comes to fostering a vibrant economy, there is no contest. Trump beats Biden and Harris in a landslide. A lively new book spells out why. Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. The economy and inflation are uppermost in voters' minds. A new, concise, crisply written book by noted economists Arthur Laffer and Steve Moore, called The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, which is available on Amazon, does three big things. First, with charts and straightforward language, it lays out how Donald Trump revved up the languishing U.S. economy when he took office in 2017. The same principles also got things moving again as the COVID emergency receded. The economy was recovering with gusto when Biden-Harris took office. Second, it details how Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the far left wrecked it. Finally, the authors outline the ways Trump will get things back on track to achieve the goal of blowout growth rates. After all, growth solves a lot of problems, including the impending crisis in Social Security and Medicare. The evidence is irrefutable. The economy boomed under Trump and slumped under Biden and Harris. The writers used 30 metrics. For instance, middle-class household incomes rose by over $6,000 in real terms when Trump was in the White House. they've fallen some $2,000 with Biden and Harris. Inflation, which still haunts us today, was almost non-existent when Trump left office. Whether it's real take-home pay, gasoline prices, housing affordability, minority poverty rates, you name it, the Trump economy outpaced the Biden-Harris one. In fact, it outpaced the Obama one, which was anemic under President Barack Obama. Key to Trump's success was the historic tax bill of 2017. It slashed the corporate tax from 35%, one of the world's worst, to 21%. Taxes for small businesses were reduced. The standard income tax deduction for individuals was doubled. The perverse, economy-hurting alternative minimum tax, which hit 5 million people and forced millions of others to go through hellish calculations, was virtually eliminated. The book demolishes the hysterical criticisms of these tax cuts. Trump recognized the dead weight of needless, ever-multiplying regulations and attacked them in a way no previous president had done before, achieving great success. This was the equivalent of a major tax cut. The border was secure under Trump. Resources for the military were increased. No wars erupted. When the pandemic hit, COVID vaccines were developed in record time. Production of oil and gas was encouraged and energy independence was achieved. It was ideology and a visceral dislike of Donald Trump, not the COVID crisis, that animated the perverse policies of Biden and Harris that reversed these impressive gains. Government spending went berserk. The Biden-Harris war on energy has reduced potential oil production by 3 to 5 million barrels a day. A tsunami of regulations ensued, and the Biden-Harris regime is attacking almost every modern convenience, not to mention the traditional automobile. The worst inflation in over 40 years slammed the American people. The book goes over what we can expect in a second Trump term. The 2017 tax cuts made permanent and new reductions added, like no taxes on Social Security and tips. There will be a new energy boom. Regulations will be whacked. A merit-based immigration system is likely to be pursued. Out-of-control spending will be hit hard by getting rid of useless programs like green energy boondoggles and massive waste. Elon Musk is champing at the bit to get started here. What makes the book credible is not only the hard data, but also the acknowledgement of where the authors had concerns about some of Trump's approaches, such as on trade. The authors, for example, don't share Trump's antipathy to trade deficits, pointing out they're accompanied by capital flowing into the U.S. economy, thereby strengthening the economy. Using the threat of tariffs to get reductions of trade barriers with other countries, though, can work, the authors acknowledge. Bottom line, we have here a highly useful, enlightening book, perfect as Election Day approaches and a likely Trump transition follows. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions, and look forward to being with you soon again.
I believe it.
Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years, so what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed.
Okay, she's saying the last decade of burdened by the rhetoric that comes from Donald Trump. So she's completely gone off track again. This is 101 blame shifting. That's all it is. She's not going to answer the question, how do you turn the page? People aren't worried about what Donald Trump does and says. They're worried about, like we are in Australia, what the government is doing for our benefit. She hasn't got an answer.
Designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other.
This woman's gone insane. I have to say it because we just watched 2 days ago Donald Trump stop a rally for doctors to see the people that were in a venue where the air conditioning was not working, or they didn't put it on, or they even turned it up. Nobody really knows what happened there. Donald Trump stopped the rally. This woman now, if you want to see evil in action, here we go. This is a smear camp. This is now turned into a smear campaign, not anything to do with the benefit of the American people.
Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up.
Okay, we're going to prove that.
Hey! Great!
This is 2 days ago.
We love that man. Stand up next to you and defend her still today. Hold it, please. A doctor, please. Doctor. Our first responders are amazing, the way they can do things so beautifully and quickly. That looks a little bad. Thank you. Hey! Hey! Great! We love that man. Open the door or down the way.
Do you want me to go tell them so it's not a microphone?
Take your time, Doctor. I want this to be a really important evening. And those two people that went down are patriots, and we love them.
Yes.
And because of them, we ended up with some good music, right? Right?
Doesn't sound like somebody that Kamala Harris is describing. That was 2 days ago.
The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of...
Ladies and gentlemen, viewers, we're now seeing somebody that's manifesting out of control. She's lost it.
People
that is about turning the
pollsters,
page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people
exhausted.
tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track.
Now, viewers, we just heard before that the border people are burdened and exhausted. Well, they're not burdened and exhausted from Donald Trump. They're burdened and exhausted from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
It's on the wrong track. That track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
you
Vice
and
President.
I both know what.
See, this is absolutely absurd. You've been in office for 3.5 years, you've done nothing, and she turns around and says, and Donald Trump is chasing the office.
What they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
So that's a smug saying. She's saying, I'm better than Donald Trump because I'm in the office and he's running for the office. I'm better than he is. Can you see underneath what that's a very covert, egotistical statement.
You and I both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What she is talking about, and I'm not sure if she's sure herself, she's exalting herself. I'm better than Donald Trump. That's what she's trying. There you go. She's saying, I'm much better than Donald Trump. You know what I'm talking about. I'm the one. So that viewers, as a spiritual theologist, that's almost demons using her vocabulary, using her vocal cords.
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people have become. But listen, over the last decade.
She doesn't like it. You're the one in power and you're weak. You haven't done anything. She's got the hand out. He's saying, give me an answer. She's saying, stop. Stop.
It is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the...
This is desperate. This is absolutely desperate. Okay, this is Satan saying, look at the angels that are on my side, God. They all came with me. It didn't make them right, did it? It didn't make them right. A third of the angels went with Lucifer, and they all fell. And it never, I'm telling you, you've got to look under the surface.
The president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president.
This woman's she's gone unhinged, and now she's starting to go into a hysteria.
That he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances. And
ladies and gentlemen, you're watching a demonic rage. A demonic rant. Because she's completely lost it. This is who Kamala Harris is.
And it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
Because he's better than what she is. That's why people don't want another 3.5 years of this.
This is an election for president.
Now watch this. This is like the Exodus. Okay, I'm going to show you something here, viewers. This is very spiritual what's going on here. I can tell you this woman has got more going on underneath than what we realize.
Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be.
Okay, so did you hear how she went into that? A total change of voice tone and delivery. That is not natural. This is supposed to be the most powerful woman in the world, really, the Vice President of the United States.
It is not supposed to be a cakewalk for anyone.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his
Now watch this. Oh God, I wouldn't say that about the American people. And now she's going to go into a rage.
He's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within. I'm
going to cut it there, guys. We'll come back in the next session and wrap this up, hopefully.